This is a video on a technique that I'm actually going to try out for the first time. I think they call this overlaying. But basically what I did is one of my pieces from earlier had cracked on the Manos project. So I had a spare, so I went ahead and used that for this piece. But before I actually cut these pieces out, I wanted to try this technique so that way I don't have to do small pieces on like art pieces like this. Hey everybody, this is Steve from SCOARTGLASS. Today I'm going to do a video on copper foil overlay. This is a technique that I've seen. I did a little trial. I'm going to do this on the Manos project, but we're going to go over the technique that I used and then go over how I used it in the project as well.
If you want the latest tips, tricks, and techniques I use in stained glass, ensure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. If you see tips and tricks and techniques I use, be sure to like and comment on the video.
A few moments later.
Technique. I've taken my drawing that I have and one piece that is already completed here as far as the drawing on it. And basically you look at your drawing and you add in your lines that you want. In this particular piece, I didn't want to have to deal with a bunch of small pieces. So this is a little bit of a shortcut in a sense, I think. When you're doing just pieces where there's no backlight coming through, you can utilize this technique to minimize on the number of pieces that you have. There's just a certain way that I found out from my trial that you have to put the foil down in a specific way so that way it doesn't peel back up.
12 seconds later.
So what I did is I made my small cuts in between where these black marks are. As you can see, you got these black marks in here. So basically I cut on both sides of them, making a small channel. And then I went through and I drew my lines to match up to there, minus the ones going across. Because then I can fluctuate where I actually need those for sure. And then once I did that, then basically I scraped the glued on piece off. So that way it left the outline of what's here. So now, then I took a piece of foil and trimmed it down to make a smaller piece to act as a smaller lead line that I will actually put on here and then burnish down pretty good, but overlap it over here and here. And then basically what that does, when I actually solder this together, it'll actually hold these on the other end on each side and keep it tight. Of course, when it heats up, it may come loose, but if I have it soldered in on both ends, then less likely for it to actually peel up away from the piece. I'm going to basically try this all out and see how it goes.
Here I measure the length that I need to cut the foil, then peel the backing off, and I will run the foil all the way down. I do pause in the middle to determine whether or not I wanted to cut and realize that I should have ran the small piece first. Then came back with the longer piece over the line. Then you'll want to burnish it down very well so that it sticks to your glass. Then I'll go back to the other pieces, and the two lines that merge together, I will run those lines first, then run the long line that will go over the ends of those pieces so that it helps them to adhere to the glass and does not pull back up. Now once I burnish all these pieces down, then it is ready to take the solder when you actually solder your piece up. This was the piece that I should have put down first and then came back and put the long piece down. You would use this same method for knuckles. Put the small pieces down and then come back with the long pieces.
Moments later.
So what I did is I took a spare piece that I had, and as you seen earlier, I made my strips down and everything. This particular strip right here, that's actually white in the design. So what I'm thinking is where I have some smaller white pieces to contrast with the actual hand, I am probably going to have to score along this line here and actually do that as a regular beaded piece and not this overlay. So then that way I can get that area out and put the white piece in there to give it that contrast. So now normally this piece would be hollowed out, but I wasn't going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and tack all these pieces together. All right, now it's time to do the overlay. Let's see how that comes out. So it's not a big thick solder line. It appears to be just, you know, of course, the width of So instead of cutting down the copper foil, what I may be able to do is I may be able to go with a full piece.
More moments later.
I cleaned it and then I dropped it. Well, I'm so glad this is just a practice piece. I would have cried. So I want to try and do a full piece and kind of see what type of bead level it gets. So if I were to do a solder line, you know, at a knuckle piece here, say I'm trying to do a knuckle or a joint at the hand. That's what it actually looks like now. So it ties it in. So you can see the concaveness at the top, so it formed to it pretty good. So when you overlay it on an existing solder line, you got to really press down on it just to make sure that the solder underneath comes over the top, and then it takes it into and dissolves or encompasses into that solder line, and then it ties it together so you won't have that piece peeling up over here on the end. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this this trial with me, and hope you tune in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more types of these projects. I like to maybe do some recreations of some paintings that I like. I really like Japanese type paintings and torii gates and different things from the Japanese culture. So I think I might try and do some of those type pictures and famous spots in this type of format. So if you're fascinated by Japanese culture, tune in, and I'll be doing more of these.
And I'll see you on the next video. And ensure to go to SCOARTGLASS.com, where you'll discover, shop, and learn about stained glass and more. We are currently taking commissions until December 1st. Ensure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for my latest tips, tricks, and techniques.